Everyone knows that a solid foundation is the most important element of any construction project, and kitchen cabinets are no different. Why? Because high-end countertops such as granite, soapstone, or concrete are bold and beautiful. But if the foundation has been compromised in any way, they can crack in a second. This is why you'll always see granite countertops transported vertically. When you lay them horizontally, they're at their weakest point. That's why it's imperative that your granite rests safely on all four rails of every single cabinet. But for those who recognize the critical importance of precision leveling, this seemingly simple task can be painful. Keep in mind, floors are never level, walls are rarely plumb, and corners are usually out of square. Traditional methods force you to install and shim each cabinet one at a time as you go around the room, which sounds fine, but there are a few issues to deal with. As we're busy installing and shimming our cabinets one at a time, our cabinets are going to have a tendency to follow the imperfections of the room, the walls and the corners. Slight imperfections, so we won't notice them until we get a little further down the line, when the face frames are no longer lining up like they should. Keep in mind, shimmed cabinets cannot be moved at all, so we can't just push them into place. And we can no longer reach the rear shims, which means micro adjustments are nearly impossible, unless we first remove the neighboring cabinet, reposition the shim, and move it back into position. Imagine doing that for each and every cabinet all the way around the room. Here's another issue. Shims are wedges, which means one end is higher than the other, obviously. If you put two cabinets side by side, the second cabinet would automatically be higher than the first. To fix this, most installers use two shims, placing them on top of one another in opposite directions, making a level plane. But this is problematic as well. One, it's more difficult, takes more time, and now we have multiple shims stacked on top of one another. Keep in mind, most floors are off more than 1/4 of an inch from one side to the other. And since shims are only 1/4 of an inch tall, that means we're going to have to use multiple shims at each and every point. And we haven't even talked about corner cabinets yet. But here's the bottom line. Sure, shimming is difficult, wastes a lot of time, but there's a much bigger reason why we stopped using shims altogether. You see, in woodworking, there's a phenomenon called wood movement, which is basically expansion and contraction. But if you don't plan for it, your project is ruined. And it's not just wood. Concrete, steel, plastic, everything expands and contracts. And cabinets and shims are no different. The fact is, the granite, the cabinet, the shims, the floor, everything is expanding and contracting, which means everything is moving. Simple physics dictates that you can't put a load on a wedge and expect it to remain load-bearing for more than about 24 hours. Unless, of course, you fasten them to the floor as you go around. But remember, the floors, walls, and corners are all out of plumb, square, and unlevel. So fastening as you go is a horrible option. And because of this, many installers have chosen to build ladder boxes, which gives us a little more control. We can now reach the shims. But this is a whole new project in and of itself. First, we have to buy the lumber, cut and build the bases, level them, carefully set the cabinets on top so that nothing shifts, fasten everything together, and pray that nothing needs to be moved, like a last-minute filler or a different size cabinet, which happens from time to time. But here's the bottom line. Whether you're a pro or a homeowner, our tools and methodologies should work for us, not against us. But the easy level system changes everything. Here's another benefit. Once the cams are locked into place, this cabinet is going to stay level forever. So we can actually take this cabinet, move it around the kitchen anywhere we want, sit it back into place, and it's still perfectly level. You see, the levelers mount securely to the bottoms of the cabinets, and both the fronts and the rears are independently adjusted just behind the toe kick. The shorter rod fits into the front leveler, and the longer rod slides through the front, reaching the rear leveler, allowing you to adjust both levelers independently. This is what makes the Easy Level system so incredibly fast. So now, we just set all our cabinets into place, turn on the laser, set it at the highest point of the highest cabinet, and with a few quick turns, we simply bring our cabinets up to that level. And look, once they're level, they stay level. So now you can move and reposition your cabinets as much as you like until everything's perfect. Or we can now install entire cabinet runs as one large piece of furniture, cutting our time in half. Either way, irregular walls, floors, and corners are no longer an issue. And remember earlier in the video, we briefly mentioned corner cabinets, the most difficult cabinet to level in any kitchen. But with the Easy Level system, we just turn a few screws. So here's an example. You can see we have our levelers on the side of the cabinet as usual, but we also have the Easy Susan, which sits in the far back corner, and it gives us absolute precision. As you can see, the back of this cabinet is about a ½ inch too low, and over an inch on the right-hand side. We're going to start with the far back leveler. That's good. Then the left rear, the right rear, and finally the two fronts to make everything even. In real time, this cabinet took about 30 seconds to level. And there are so many other things that we can do with the Easy Level system. For instance, every kitchen we install, we leave the cabinets about 1/8 of an inch off the ground. That way, if our customer has a small water leak from a ice maker line or a dishwasher line, the water runs right under the cabinets, never touching the wood. And this is a huge selling point for all of our customers. And did you notice our toll-free phone number right at the top of every page on our site, assuring you that we stand behind our products? Need help? Give us a call. But ordering is simple. You only need to know 2 things: what size and how many. Simply navigate over to the How to Order page, watch the short video, and in a few minutes, you'll be on your way. If you would like our staff to order for you, well, just give us a call. Or email us your plans. We'll be happy to do it for you. But really, I think our customers say it best. So here's a few clips, just to give you an idea.
We want to welcome our special guest, Tom Talby of Kitchen Tune-Up from Charlotte, North Carolina. And
I bet we've been ordering for 4 or 5 years, Brooks. The first one to use it was one of my subcontractors and said, "Hey, I want you to use these on this job and tell me what you think." He came back and he said, "Would you please order these for every job you do?" And we've used them ever since on every job.
Dakota Boeck, he's with Box Blue Cabinets out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Well, I've been with the company, I think going on 3 years now, and they were established well before I was around. So I believe a minimum of 5 years, maybe more. Obviously from like a lead carpenter model, they love it because, you know, they just hit that drill bit and it's level. So instead of having to spend time shimming, even a homeowner who doesn't have experience putting in cabinets that well, or maybe minimal carpentry experience, they could just easily grasp what they needed to do. Until you use it, it's just so simple. Especially someone like us who's doing a ton of cabinets. Mm-hmm. It makes it that much quicker. I mean, our carpenters can set a whole kitchen's worth of base cabinets in half a day, you know, because if now you can install 2 kitchens a week instead of 1, or so it's either you're making more money because you're able to be more efficient, or, you know, what's your time worth? Another feedback I'll give you, those corner Easy Levels, phenomenal.
Or the Easy Susans.
The Easy Susan. Yeah, that's
awesome.
Pretty sweet product.
Clinton Mitchell of Mitchell Craft services the greater Charlotte and Lake Norman area in North Carolina.
We tried them, and it was not just the simplicity of it, but it was also how rigid and solid they were in that process. So I didn't have to worry about them giving or moving around, and that just made all the difference for me. So I do strictly high-end custom. It's not really about the speed in which it's moving. It's about I can train a monkey to level my cabinets at this point. So, but again, yeah, I would say the speed's not as big of an issue for me. It's more about the precision for sure. But I will say that my interior designers and my custom builders, it was probably one of the key selling points for them. And they used that selling point on the models that I built them to sell for me, basically. For an easy sell, really.
And the product is great. I mean, I've been in business for 30 years, and it really does work great. It really does. You know, I can't believe all these years I've been using Shims. It's just unbelievable the difference it makes. Actually, the last one I just did, the floor from one end to the other was over an inch out of level. It would have been a nightmare with Shims. And we had a big peninsula coming out, 8.5-foot peninsula that was that far out. We screwed everything together and put those on and just set the laser up, turned the screws, and we were done. I mean, it was just unbelievable the difference it made. You know, because you can get it within a 32nd of an inch.
You know, I think I first used it a year or so ago, maybe a little bit longer, and my company specializes in finished basements. When we do built-ins or entertainment centers or bars, for me to set cabinets on concrete, it's the only way to go. I wouldn't put a cabinet system in without it. I wouldn't do it. They're the best. In fact, I've done several installations. Had I not used them, I don't know how I would have gotten the cabinets leveled. It's a great system.
We install kitchen cabinets for Home Depot, and I had put 4 cabinets in yesterday, just a small area. I didn't use them. I thought, I'll be real quick. I was so mad. I go, why?
You try one time, and you'll kick yourself if you try to go back, because I won't make that mistake again. I won't do it. It cost me an hour and a half of work.
We put them in every kitchen we do now. I use it as a selling point with my clients. And I also tell them that typically we're raising your cabinets about 1/8 of an inch or more off the floor. So if you do have a water leak, that's a slow leak from the refrigerator line or the dishwasher, that water likely will travel under your cabinets rather than get absorbed by your cabinets. And we won't kitchen without them.
And it makes our guys more efficient, and the cabinet's much more accurate, and there's no shifting. So, you know, really the deal was I let my guys try them, and they did them on 2 kitchens, and they told me they requested I order them for every kitchen thereafter. So, and I have 3 different install crews, and they all like them. So.
And I do a lot of kitchen restoration from floods. The mediation companies will rip out the cabinets and they'll leave the countertops in place. So when I rebuild the boxes, I'll undersize them by like 1/4 of an inch so they slide in perfectly, and then I'll just jack them up to meet the decking.
You've got me spoiled now. Now I don't even care. It's included in the cost. You want me to install them, it's what it costs. Done.
Once we start leveling, you know, raising and lowering it so everything is perfectly level, man, you have to see the customers, how they see it. It's like, it's the best thing that they can see. And you say, okay, and you turn all the lights off and you bring the laser. And you start, Jorge is normally the one that comes with the screwdriver, you know, and just raises the front or the back. And I say, okay, the back, okay, that's good. And that's all I do. I just tell them, just looking from up here, looking at the laser. And they are watching their cabinets, the back raising, the front raising, and then all perfectly, all the level, it touches every single corner of the cabinet. You cannot have a more gratifying feeling than that, man.
And how long does it take you to level a kitchen usually? On average.
Like 10 minutes.